there, everybody. Happy Forks Friday to you and you and you and you and you. I am Steven, your customer success manager here at Forks Over Knives. I am here with my favorite Corey. How you doing, Corey?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to talk about this topic because I know that our, blog post, it is one of the most visited blog posts on the Forks Over Knives site. And it's by Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. And, he's got a couple great books out there, but the Fiber Fueled Cookbook is a big deal. And I think that, while neither one of us obviously are doctors, I think that it's going to be extremely beneficial to really break this fiber thing down for people and show them what types of foods they can eat. And I'll bet you they'll be surprised because there's fiber in a lot of the foods that are already in the foods that you're eating. We just want to make an extra effort to put them in,
Absolutely, Corey. And I think that the really easy part of this, and we'll get into some more specifics, especially really highlighting some key things from this article, is to make it really simple, Corey. I know we talk about this all the time, but we are focusing on whole plant foods because all of these foods have fiber. What we are going to look to minimize and eliminate are the foods that do not have any dietary fiber. And those are those animal foods, meat, dairy. We're talking about those highly processed foods, which obviously come with a whole bunch of other junk in them. But when we go to whole plant foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, lentils, peas of all kinds, and our potatoes, our tubers, our starchy veggies, we are talking about a fiber-fueled, a fiber-rich diet. And so many people, Corey, I mean, I'm sure with you also, we talk about protein. Where are we getting protein? Carbohydrates and fat. I feel like fiber really does sort of fall off the conversation a lot.
It does. I think that, when you talk about fiber and you talk about something like a rice and beans, right? It's the simple switches that can really make it super beneficial for you. For instance, did you know that white rice doesn't really contain any fiber, nor does it contain protein? However, brown rice does have protein and does contain fiber. Now, I'm not trying to demonize white rice. I'm just saying switch it up a little bit. I mean, people in civilizations for thousands of years have been eating rice. I mean, in some of the Eastern countries, rice is a staple, whether it's brown or white, it doesn't matter. But ultimately, if you're looking to increase your fiber and you're looking to add a little bit of protein to your life, if you were to have a rice and beans, the beans themselves are full of fiber, full of calcium, full of vitamins A and C. There's wonderful things that you can do with simple switches. And so we want to kind of visualize that for you and help you see some of these amazing recipes that you can make in, 20 minutes. And it'll be easy for you.
I think a lot of the conversation, as far as on a mainstream sort of topic, when people think about fiber, they do think about it in terms of what helps to prevent and relieve constipation, right? I feel like that's a hot, that's a very big topic. And that's why a lot of the topic goes to some of the supplements and other things that people are taking when we should be going back to the whole foods that we can incorporate in our breakfasts, our lunches, our dinners, our desserts, snacks, and beyond. The cool thing about fiber, Corey, is that it also helps to manage weight, helps to lower the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. And the craziest stat out of all of this and why this information is so important is that 9 out of every 10 Americans are deficient in fiber. Can you believe that?
No, it's unbelievable. I think it just comes from, the standard American diet, which is funny. The acronym is SAD, the standard American diet. And then also just the ability to, guys, it's really easy to eat poorly, especially in the United States, because, I was sitting at Chipotle just the other day with my son. And of course we just got rice and beans. That's what we do. And, there's some added oil in the beans, but it was a night off. So we were just trying to do the best that we could with what we had. But ultimately, as we looked to our left, I saw 5 fast food restaurants. And to my right, I saw 4. So across my purview at a 180-degree kind of turn here, I was seeing 9 fast food restaurants. And I was sitting in Chipotle, which was probably the best that we could have done in a 3-mile radius. And, I was just talking about it with my son and just kind of educating my 9-year-old on how he gets to decide the type of food that he puts in his body. And I think it really worked out well. So, yeah.
It's what's most accessible. And it's also about education, right? And that's what we are here for today, just to key into certain parts of the body and how and why fiber is beneficial to you and how easy it can be, even though it might not seem that way because of exactly what Corey just shared, how easy it can be if we're incorporating whole plant foods into our diet. We're bringing in the fiber that we need to take care of all of the insides. The first thing, Corey, that we'll talk about, and you already mentioned Dr. Will Bulsiewicz and his Fiber Fueled Cookbook. I mean, he is the gut health guru, right? He is the doctor. So we're talking about a healthy gut. I know a lot of us on many, many days, I put my hands right there and we go, oh, you know, it just doesn't feel good. We want to feel good inside our gut, and we can. We are tending to our gut garden, we can say, right? Our microbiome, our gut flora. And when it comes to our immune system, the majority of it resides within the gut barrier, and that lines all of our intestinal walls.
That's huge.
Right?
You're exactly right. I mean, I think 70% is what I've heard, right?
Yeah, it could be even upwards of 80% too. Yeah. Wow. Now, Corey, you are a parent. You were just talking about going out with your kid. You are a protector for your children, right? You want to make sure that you are bringing in all of the positive things into their life.
That's right.
Doing the best as possible to filter out whatever doesn't serve them. Yeah. And so in some ways, you are like the fiber to your children, right? You are the bouncer. Fiber is like the gut barrier is like the bouncer for the body.
That's
and when
right.
we're bringing fiber, we are helping to bring in beneficial nutrients and usher out some of those inflammation-causing toxins.
That's right. I love that. I'm the fiber of the family, and when I'm not here, the balance is off. So it's just the same thing, man. It's the same thing. I love that.
So you are helping to feed and heal the family along with your significant other. And of course, so many others that are out there. But that is such an important thing with inflammation on the rise and so many inflammatory responses that come from toxins, pathogens. And, you know, when we're talking about the foods that do not serve us, those animal foods and those highly processed foods, by eschewing them out and bringing in more of the foods that help to feed and heal the gut barrier. That's right. When we do place our hands over there, we can say, I feel cleaner, I feel lighter, I feel healthier overall.
Yeah. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Absolutely. That's what fiber should be saying all the time. Another thing, Corey, is our visceral fat. And that's, you know, that fat that really lines all of that, you know, the internal organs here and there. And what's great is that fiber, it ultimately helps to trigger the release of a gut hormone called GLP-1. I know that's another thing that we're talking about a lot. This is a hormone that is released naturally, but it's mimicked in a lot of the weight loss drugs that are out there. It sends that message to the brain that says, I'm full, right? A very important thing. We talk with Chef AJ a lot about calorie density and nutrient density and the foods that help send that message, I'm full, while getting the nutrients that we want. And higher fiber diets are often linked to a lower body weight and specifically the lower levels of that visceral fat that is within there.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, Chef AJ recently joined us on a wonderful webinar where we talked about calorie density and, you know, nutrient density. And we think about the word density itself and that just equate it to a lot, right? So a lot of calories or a lot of nutrients and not that many calories. When we talk about whole food, plant-based foods, we're talking about fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains. These are the types of foods that are going to be nutrient dense and give you more bang for your buck. Yeah. And the truth is, you know, we have, we reference them as stoplights as well, red light, green light, yellow light foods. And for my son, you know, I have another son, I have 3 kids, but my 14-year-old now, holy cow, he just turned 14. He's a monster. He's huge. And he loves to eat and he's always hungry because his, you know, not to get too technical here, but his metabolism, his basal metabolic rate, his BMR is just so high as a teenager that I have to remind him, like, you can eat as many of the green light foods, whole food, plant-based foods, as you want. You don't have to worry about calorie intake. But when we fill ourselves with chips and things of that nature, not only is there no fiber, there's no nothing. There's no nutrients. There's a bunch of sodium. There's a bunch of saturated fat. And there's a bunch of calories that are just not good for you at any level. So we're just trying to allow you to eat whatever you want and not worry about it.
And a lot of those red light foods that you just mentioned that are those empty calories, we might call them. And they're also bringing in a lot of other things. You know, those are the types of foods that are also going to be damaging our blood vessels.
Sure.
For everyone who's seen the Forks Over Knives documentary, we know that Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn is the champion of talking about endothelial cell health for our blood vessels, right? In the film, it is such a beautiful visual, not a beautiful visual, but it's a very potent visual, so to say, of showing what some of the detrimental foods, these animal foods and these highly processed foods do to the blood vessels as the plaque builds, bringing in all that dietary cholesterol. And so when we think about the body's healing response, how it has to happen, it has an inflammatory response. So by bringing in the things, we are bringing on inflammation. And since higher fiber diets are linked with lower cholesterol and lower blood pressure, the body is being spared from the strain of that inflammation. We are taking care of our blood vessels at the same time. Yeah. So now we are going all the way from a healthy gut. We are going from making sure we're keeping our visceral fat in check. We are taking care of our blood vessels, Corey, and also we're helping to regulate blood sugar. I think that's a big conversation, especially with anyone out there, pre-diabetic, type 2 diabetes especially. A lot of people are talking about blood sugar and they think about carbohydrates in a very generic way. I got to avoid carbs because I don't want to spike my blood sugar. But we're talking about different type of carbs here, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, refined, processed carbs, no good. I guess what is the term for the carbs? Complex carbs?
Complex carbs, which in some ways I think are also complete. But yeah, they're complex carbs instead of those simple or the refined ones. So we also don't want those spikes in blood sugar, which trigger the inflammation response. We want to bring in whole plant foods, rich in complex carbohydrates, which slow that blood sugar absorption, and they help to curb all of these spikes.
Now, I do want to let you guys know that if you're just starting off on this and you're like, holy cow, these guys, what are they talking about? If you just go to our website at forksoverknives.com, you'll see a welcome, beginner's journey guide type of thing. There's a start here button. Also, you can just look for beginners or you can type the word beginner and we'll direct you to a very comprehensive article that'll not only give you video, but it'll give you a chance to watch the Forks Over Knives film in its entirety and really just like help you start on this journey. A lot of people are still in their, their motivation, New Year's resolution phase and everything else. So we want to make sure that we keep that going. And the way that you can do that, of course, if you're starting out, is just head over to forksoverknives.com and we'll get you taken care of. Stephen.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of foods in general, Corey. What about, why don't we key in? I think the thing is people take a look at this information. They go, that sounds good for me. That sounds like it'll be beneficial to me. How do I do it?
Yep.
So let's get a little bit more specific with it. And we're going to focus on some foods and also some recipes just to let you know this is very doable. And like you mentioned, Corey, it might be something that people are already incorporating into their diet. Now maybe we're just expanding it a bit more.
It's perfect. Let's dive in. I know people love recipes, so
we talked about fruits first, right? We talked about fruits, and we could talk about again every fruit, vegetable, whole grain, legume, and tuber starchy veggie. I want to call out just a few of them: raspberries and apples. We're talking about 8 grams of protein per cup. Apples around 4.5 grams of protein per cup, especially if you're keeping that peel on the skin of the apple. When we're talking about veggies, we got artichokes, we got green peas at 9 grams per cup and broccoli at 5 grams per cup. We said, let's get rid of the refined grains. Let's bring in the whole grains. We're talking barley, brown rice, quinoa, somewhere between 3 to 6 grams per cup. And even that extends to our whole grain breads and our whole grain pastas, Corey. So no, we are not absolutely eliminating bread and pasta. We are just bringing in the whole grain version, whole grain pasta, 6 grams per cup, and the champions. Are you ready for the champions of our fiber game?
What you got?
Split peas at 16 grams of fiber per cup.
Split peas. Okay.
Split peas. We also have lentils and black beans, which I think are a favorite of many, right around 15 to 16 grams of fiber per cup.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I feel, again, I'm not a doctor, but I feel like the body adjusts to fiber over time. Meaning, like, I'm whole food plant-based, so are you. And I mean, my dad laughs all the time. Like, I'll eat a whole thing of blueberries, like a whole small container of blueberries, no effect on me at all. And my dad's always like, son, if I ate that, I would have to run to the bathroom. And I'm like, well, Dad, maybe you should eat some more fiber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that it is a journey for everyone. It is a process for everyone. And that's why we will always recommend working with a dietary and or medical professional, especially for any specific individualized medical or nutritional conditions that you have. when we take a look at the full overview of things as we continue our journey forward, this is the direction that best supports health. So all those foods that we have, whether we're talking blueberries or beans, Corey, how do we, besides just popping them in our mouth, how do we enjoy them, of course, in a meal? I have 5 recipes from the Forks Over Knives website that I think will make everyone happy with a fiber focus.
You're such a wonderful curator. I'm so excited to see these curated recipes that you've put together.
You know, my curation could only be done with the assistance of our wonderful Fleming behind the scenes, especially for a visual. I'll do my best, of course, to give us a full visual of it, but I'll at least tell everyone what we should be focusing on. And we just talked about a lot of beans, Corey. So what about like a 3-bean chili? We have this great recipe, 3-bean chili for a crowd, and that's because you can make a big batch of it for yourself and your full family. But we're talking about multiple beans, and pick your favorites. Some people say, I don't like chickpeas, I don't like cannellini beans, I don't like black beans. We still have a whole bunch more beyond that. We can talk about pinto, navy beans, and beyond. So a 3-bean chili is a great way to bring in multiple beans, not only for your satiety and packed with flavor, but also high in fiber. Now let's go to the dessert side of things. I know that you always want to go to the dessert side of things when we're talking about recipes.
I have a sweet tooth. I always want to see the dessert. Yes, always.
I mentioned raspberries and apples as 2 of those high fiber foods. What if we put them together in a crisp or in a crumble?
Ooh, yeah,
right?
We need that sound. Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking about whole grains in here along with these 2 fruits, which are fiber packed and also will bring in that flavor punch. As we navigate away from animal foods and highly processed foods, burgers are always something that we associate with meat. And we also have a lot of those highly processed burgers. But we have a nice, easy recipe. It's our 5-ingredient veggie burger, which gives you a layout. It's almost like you have your foundation, and then you can customize it however you'd like it, using a specific type of veggie, a specific type
what are
of
the veggies?
grain, a specific type of bean.
Show me the veggies.
So here we go. We have this over here, and then we have a lot of different pivots that one can do specifically. So choose your bean of choice, choose your veggie of choice. The 5-ingredient one is nice and simple because when you're making your own burgers, you just want it to be easy. You want to be able to maybe bake them, grill them, have them intact. And again, we're talking about a lot of high fiber foods that are in here in this 5-ingredient veggie burger. And let's kick into breakfast. We got to kick off our day right.
Before you go to breakfast, I got to talk about these burgers. So I made these with my daughter. I made there's another recipe for black bean burgers. Yeah. I made that one. It's a bit more involved, but I'm going to try this one tonight. Here's why. A lot of people in my family eat Beyond Burgers, and I just can't do it because of the oil content and it's just too much for my stomach, right? So since I'm whole food plant-based, I make my own burgers and they're absolutely incredible. But here's a pro tip. Make sure after you make them, you freeze them. Because just like Beyond Burgers, when you put them on the grill frozen, they cook and they stay more bound together than they do when they're like just like a kind of like a pate. I don't know. But it's just much better. So
I think that's a great tip, Corey. Yeah, whenever I make my own burgers, I do like whatever the mix is, I will at least put it in the fridge for a while. I will let it sort of settle and cool. And same thing, putting them in the freezer. That is a fantastic idea, especially for anyone who loves to throw them on the grill.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to it. You said breakfast. Is that what you said?
Let's do breakfast. We have an oatmeal breakfast bake. Again, we're focusing with berries and almonds. We have some of those nuts that you're talking about. We have whole grains, whole rolled oats, and we have lots of different berries in there. Again, the raspberry, the blueberry, they are making quite the cameo appearances in here. But you can really, you can do a nice little bake out of this. You can honestly just even make simple oatmeal with these foods. However you are going to take it in, again, just a few ingredients, whether it's a simple oatmeal or a very fun sort of baked casserole. These are the foods that you should be focusing on. I have one final one, Corey, and I always grew up, I loved pre-plant-based years, enjoying, meat and cheese quesadillas. It's nice and easy. It's just delicious. So we're going to just swap out the meat. We're going to swap out the cheese. We're going to bring back the black beans, and we're going to bring in sweet potato for our quesadillas. It gives it some wonderful color. It gives it that nice, still sort of texture, that creaminess, a whole grain tortilla of your choice, whole wheat or corn. And we can top it with whatever salsa, maybe a little bit of guacamole if we would like. But we're focusing on really filling up the insides with exactly what we've been talking about, fiber-rich foods.
Brilliant. I love this. I've not tried the sweet potato quesadillas, but I will tell you that I love it in general. So I say
5 stars on them. 5 stars. I recommend it. They're delicious.
Bring it on. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know if you heard, my computer was ringing for some reason. I don't know what that's about.
It could be that you are hungry for some quesadillas, or your computer is hungry for some quesadillas.
It's a quesadilla alert. Time for me to go eat. My goal in this show is just to make our producer, who you guys can't see, smile. And he doesn't know this, but I can see him smiling every time I make a joke. So that means I'm funny. Now, if my kids were here, they would be deadpan because they don't think I'm funny at all. They just think I'm
fiber and funny is what we are looking to bring into our life. We definitely get the funny here, and we hope you got some wonderful information regarding why fiber is important in your diet and how to incorporate it into your diet even more with that wonderful, wonderful, abundant variety of whole plant foods.
That's right. We love you, people. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next time on Forks Friday.
Happy funny fiber Forks Friday.
You're ridiculous. Bye, guys.
Bye.